Good evening and welcome to the ETFinalScore.com RoadShow. We're back. It's week 2. We're back at Christus Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. I'm joined by Travis Yosting. I'm Chris Perry. We're both sports writers with the Tyler Morning Telegraph, and I'm just excited. I'm excited. This is another game. We're going into the playoffs. It's John, Tyler, and Lufkin. What do you think, Travis?
It's great to be back. Back at Rose Stadium. John, Tyler, obviously they worked hard to earn this home playoff game, and they're going to fill up the stadium tonight. It should be a fun one against an old-time rival, Lufkin.
What can you tell me about just the fact that they're having a home playoff game? I mean, that's kind of weird in itself.
Yeah, it's kind of a pilot program in 6A to give the top seed in the playoffs a home game in the first round, And John Tyler took full advantage of that, and they're going to see if it pays off tonight. Well,
guys, really, we've got so much planned for you. We've got interviews with East Texas coaches. We're going to be talking about other playoff games. And of course, as we're talking, you're going to start seeing this place fill up. Christus Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium is going to be packed for two longtime area rivals with something a little bit more at stake than just district, they former district rivals. Now they're going to be playing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, they've played 71 times before. Only once before was it in the playoffs. So it should be a good one.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm excited. We're hoping to. We're going to talk to Coach Ricklin Holmes from John Tyler later. Probably, I would say we're going to try to get him before kickoff. Interviews with coaches. We're going to be looking at the scoreboard. There's so many other playoff games going on tonight, and we're going to be trying to keep track of that as we go along. And I just welcome to the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow, sponsored by Mole Masters.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
We're back at Christus Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium, and pizza has arrived. Gusano's has been very happy to deliver pizza. This is going to be a weekly tradition. I'm looking forward to this, Travis, every single week.
That's right.
And ladies, thank you very much. Can you do me a favor? And Travis is going to ask you a little bit about Gusano's.
Well, just tell us a little bit where you guys are located and what you guys pride yourselves on.
Yeah, we're on Old Jacksonville Highway in the Swan Shopping Center. We have daily lunch specials, daily night specials, and drink specials, even on the weekend. We do catering, so, come out and try us.
We are looking forward to trying plenty of what you just provided.
Very good.
So, do you have a favorite here, Lufkin or John Tyler?
Oh, John Tyler, of course.
The John Tyler Lions.
Yes.
Well, ladies, thank you very much for bringing us pizza,
Thank you.
and welcome to the Road Show.
Thanks.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
So John Tyler comes into this ball game with only one loss. Lufkin comes into this ball game with only one loss. Lufkin's only loss was to the Woodlands, and they're one of the best teams in the state. And Lufkin has two losses.
They're 7-3.
7-3. John Tyler, they've lost to Rockwall. Really, John Tyler could have easily been undefeated. If you can, just talk to me about the Lions and how they've progressed to get to this point.
Yeah, they're 9-1. It's actually the fourth time they've been 9-1 in the last 6 or so years heading into the playoffs. Most recently, they did it in I believe 2013 when they went to the state semifinals. They've lost by at least points, and that includes the loss to Rockwall. They were up 17 in the second half before Rockwall made a big comeback. Kind of stole the game late with a 2-point conversion in the final minute. JT couldn't quite come back in the final drive. And then the one game they didn't lead by 17 points was against Mesquite when they won 20-14. That was kind of a weird game. The offense wasn't clicking. Bryson Smith threw 3 interceptions, and it was kind of an ugly game offensively, but JT's defense stepped up, and really that's kind of been the story for JT all year is the defense. The defense has been phenomenal, especially in the second half. Since that Rockwall loss, when they gave up 39 points in the second half, they've only allowed 3.5 points per game in the second half against some good competition like Rockwall Heath, Longview. Lee's offense is pretty good. Mesquite Horn, they've got an Oklahoma-bound quarterback, and really just the JT defense playing lights out in the second half has kind of been what's spurred them to this district title and obviously the home playoff game here.
Well, they've been fantastic, and they're coming out of District 11-6A, which we cover every single week. And I think it's one of the best districts. I thought it was one of the best 6A districts in the state.
Definitely, and it was a lot of fun to cover, because you got a lot of different types of teams. You got teams like Rockwall and Mesquite Horn that will air it out. And you got some running teams like Rockwall Heath and Longview and Lee. You see a little bit of everything in this district, and talking to Coach Holmes this week, he thinks that's really prepared them well for the playoffs. And starting with Lufkin, a team that has been impressive throwing the ball.
We're going to take a look a little bit at John, Tyler, and Lufkin and kind of break them down a little bit. And of course, it starts with the quarterbacks, Travis.
Cordell Rogers from Lufkin has been fantastic throwing the ball. He's got over 3,000 yards passing. He hasn't run the ball as much this year, but they haven't really needed him to when you're throwing 30 touchdowns with just 2 interceptions. And he's got a lot of receivers to throw to. Dalen Phillips, over 1,000 yards receiving, and then Malik Jackson, he's right behind him with 900 yards receiving. And then, of course, on the flip side, Bryson Smith, he's a Houston commit. He does it with his arms, with his legs. He's got over 2,000 yards passing, over 1,000 yards rushing. And both these quarterbacks have really been the key to the offenses so far this year.
Travis, I've been impressed with just what Bryson, it seems like when any play breaks down, or just when they need a play, when they need a first down, when they need that big play, he just seems to provide it. He definitely did it last week against Robert E. Lee.
Definitely, and he's one of 2 captains on this team. He's the offensive captain, and when this team needs a play, he steps up. If it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, they're probably going to keep the ball in his hands, whether it's a quick sweep to the right or left, or maybe just trusting him to throw the ball and find the right pass. He's been phenomenal on just picking up yardage when they needed to, and just that one exception being that Rockwall game where they just ran out of time.
You got 2 dynamic quarterbacks like in this ball game, players get overshadowed, and when you got guys like Damian Miller, who's going to come into Texas, players, running backs and whatnot get overshadowed. These 2 teams have got terrific running backs, starting with Khalil Brown for Lufkin.
Yeah, Brown, he's got 16 touchdowns, 830 yards rushing, averages a great yard per clip. And he helps balance Cordell Rogers, keep that offense a little bit more balanced, and make sure that you just don't, drop 8 guys into coverage every time. And then on the other side, Cameron Grant, he's a sophomore. He wasn't really expected to play too much this year, but when Justin Samples, the starter, went down with the concussion and hasn't been able to come back yet, Cameron Grant has just been stepped up and been a little spark plug. He's not the biggest guy, not too tall, but he is lightning quick and hits the gap quickly. And he likes to say it's his vision that is his best quality, and he is able to find every little hole that the offensive line opens up for him and exploit it to the best of his abilities. He's got 779 yards rushing, and that's just in about 4 or 6 games maybe, after a slow start to the season because he wasn't the starter.
Of course, receiving wise, when I think of John Tyler, the first name is our cover guy, is our cover boy, Damian Miller. That's one of the first guys that I think about when I think of the John Tyler Lions, but they've got so many more receivers than just Damian.
Yeah, they've got a lot of weapons. Damian Miller, he's been splitting a little bit of time on offense and defense, so his receptions total isn't that high. He's only 3rd on the team with 29 receptions, but he's actually 1st on the team with 693 yards because he is so deadly on the deep threat. He's got 3 or 4, maybe 5, 75-plus yard touchdowns of his total 7 touchdowns. But he also helps out on defense. He's got a pick 6 that he had against Mesquite Horn earlier in this year. So he's helping out in all areas. And then you look at the other receivers. Devlin Woods, he's coming in and he's leading receptions with 35 catches, got 443 yards. Kind of a good possession receiver for Bryson Smith. And then Michael Givens-Washington, he does a little bit of everything. He returns punts, he returns kickoffs. He's got 33 catches, 552 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he'll occasionally run the ball as well.
I kind of misspoke a little bit earlier when I first started. I said Lufkin had only 1 loss. They had 1 district loss, and I think that district loss is what
two district losses.
Really, so I'm making mistakes all over the place. The Woodlands is the game, and the game that I was blown away by, and of course it was Beaumont Westbrook. It was the second one. When we're talking about Lufkin, Dalen Phillips, Malik Jackson, two really big-time playmakers that can, if they get the ball in their hands, they can take it the distance.
Definitely, this offense has been so explosive. They've averaged 43 points per game in a tough district down there in the Houston area. They've got 3 losses. They lost to a Bossier City team at the Battle on the Border in Shreveport. They played right after JT played in that early in the season. And then they had a loss to the Woodlands, but they played the Woodlands tough, and the Woodlands is undefeated. And then, of course, Beaumont Westbrook loss. They put up 63 points, but still lost 70-63. So that kind of tells you a lot about the season for Lufkin this year. They've got an amazing offense, but their defense is a little bit suspect.
Well, the thing I remember about Lufkin is that they just don't ever quit. I mean, we were at this stadium last year when it looked like Robert E. Lee had them absolutely dead and buried in a game where they had a 35-plus point lead, and Lufkin came all the way back and won the game in overtime. I mean, I left very impressed with the Panthers, and I'm sure John Tyler and Coach Rickland Holmes and his staff has made it very apparent to his team that they just can't stop. They have to just keep putting points on the board. Tell me, the defense is kind of interesting because the offenses are so explosive. John Tyler's defense has been just leading the way in the second half. Let's start off with the Lufkin defense.
Well, if you want to look at individual players, linebacker Torrin Grisby, he's their top tackler by far, 107 tackles. He's got 4 sacks as well. He's kind of leader in the middle. Looking deeper in the secondary, Jabrian Grimes, 75 tackles, interception, 5 pass breakups. He's kind of been their leader back there. Really, they've done all right against the pass. They're allowing 199 against the pass, but 242 yards per game against the rush. That's where JT might try to exploit them tonight.
Of course, we're able to we're talking about Lufkin. John Tyler's defense has been just fantastic. Really, besides Lee, I think, getting a touchdown with him in the third quarter, they've really just shut teams down, and they've really shut teams down in the fourth quarter since that Rockwall game.
Exactly. Only Lee and I think Longview are the only 2 teams that have scored against them in the second half in the last 5 games since that Rockwall loss. They've been so dominant in the second half, but you talk to Coach Holmes about it, and he says, yeah, that's great, but we've really got to get better in the first half. He's not concerned about doing well in the second half. That's how he thinks they should play every game, every half. And so with coming into tonight against a really good Lufkin offense, the goal is to shut them out in the first half too.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We're just now getting started. We're at Chris's Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium with the John Tyler Lions against the Lufkin Panthers. We will be right back with the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow, sponsored by Mole Masters.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional local company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
A win, a home field advantage, being able to play in front of our friends and family and fans, first round of the playoff without having to flip for it. You know how that goes. Coming off that win, it was big for us, not because it was the Tyler Lee, John Tyler game, but because it was an 11-6A football game that had some weight to it as far as us having to travel or playing at home. Anytime you get to wear the Cujo jerseys that let you know that you've done something during the regular season to put yourself in this position. And now, like I tell them all the time, we got destiny right here in our hand. We just got to be willing to close our fingers together and hold on to it. Well, it's a big deal. Playing them as district opponents for the past couple of years and knowing what they bring to the table. They're very athletic, very well coached football team by Coach Quick. Quarterback and a couple of receivers are really, really good playmakers. So we got to make sure we keep those guys in check. We know we're not going to be able to stop them. It is what it is. They're too good just to stop them. But we got to be able to slow them down and capitalize on their mistakes and use that to our advantage. I think it prepared them well, kind of like our district. I think our district has us ready to go to the playoff because of the type of teams that we've played, the Rockwall, the Heath, the Longviews, the North Mesquites, the Horns, teams of that type of caliber, going against them week in and week out and not having a game off. You know, basically in our district, you don't really have a game off. So that keeps you focused, that keeps you disciplined, that keeps you hungry. They can put points on the board. But it also lets you know that the defense is giving up some points. And I think that's one thing that we're going to have to capitalize on is, you know, their weaknesses on defense. We're going to have to expose them a little bit. And then what we do as a defense against their offense, we're going to have a few more stops than they do. We got to be able to still run the ball and be successful with Grant, you know, running behind that offensive line, controlling the clock, keeping their offense off the field. We don't want their offense on the field just like they don't want ours on the field. But at the same time, we got to still use our big playmakers, our Damian Millers, our Tay Mosleys, our Michael Givens, you know, Devlin Woods. Those kids, we're going to have to still be able to use them on the outside perimeter. We're getting to a point to where we're starting to be more of a 50-50 team for the simple fact of the way our offensive line is playing. I think they're doing an exceptional job with the run game, and our running backs doing a great job too. Pass game for sure. You know, I don't think they really have an answer for Bryson. I don't think anybody has an answer for Bryson right now. So we're going to have to make sure that we keep him in the pocket, keep him protected, and if things break down, we know that we can rely on him to get us out of jam. We're going to have to play. We're going to play better than we did when we played Rockwall to beat Lufkin.
You guys have.
That's the one loss. And, you know, the way that they run their offense, the way that their defense plays, it reminds me a lot of them. We just can't have the mistakes that we had in that game moving forward to this game on Friday. To play John Tyler football and to understand that we're not ready to start off season yet. We're ready to keep going because we got our next goal that's right in front of us that we got to get done. Yeah, they've been having that same sense of urgency all year long, you know, knowing that, you know, every game is not promised, even in the regular season, because anything can happen to you as a football player to put a hold on that season. So now that the regular season is over, where there are no more games on the schedule, they know that, you know, moving forward, you know, is win or go home. And a lot of my guys not ready to go home yet. Well, it's hard to tell most of the younger guys because most of them been on them playoff runs, you know, like the seniors now. Probably about 80% of the seniors that we got now were on that team that played in the semifinals and lost to Alito. So they've been to the 5th round. So just knowing that they got that experience under their belt, they know what to expect from round to round. They know what it takes to win each game. They know how to practice to win each game. Be a lot. We'll be deep. I expect Lufkin to bring them a lot of people too, just for the simple fact they know that they have a good football team and they got just as good a chance of winning just like we do.
We're back at Christus Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium for the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. You just heard from the John Tyler Lions head coach Ricklin Holmes, and now we have the man himself on live on the set with us. Travis, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
All right, well, Coach, it's the third season, the postseason finally here. What are the feelings like around campus, around the team?
Excitement, you know, getting ready to go to that third season, having a home playoff advantage game, first round of the playoff. That's a big deal for John Tyler High School and the John Tyler football team.
How hard did you guys work to make sure you guys got this home game in the playoffs?
Well, we had to work really hard because our district 11-6A was tough. I don't think a lot of people expected us to do what we did in 11-6A, but we did. And that's the way that we practice, the way we prepared, that's the way we've been playing. To go and end the season 9-1, that's a big accomplishment for our kids, but the bigger accomplishment starts today.
And, you know, you talked about the tough district you guys played through. How do you think that prepared you guys for the playoffs?
I think it did. You know, it all started with our preseason first. You know, I think us playing a traditionally strong Plano West coming out the jump, going against a tough Ennis team, and then hitting the road and going to Shreveport against a dominant New Orleans team out of Warren Easton. To get that going before we start the district play, I think that helped us physically and mentally to be ready to go into the district the way that we did.
Coach, you got two just dynamic quarterbacks in this ball game. I mean, this is going to be fantastic for both sets of fans to watch Cordell and Bryson go against each other.
Almost definitely. Cordell's an exciting kid to watch. I just hope I don't have to watch him too much tonight. The kid is amazing. You know, he done some great things against us last year. I think we limited his big plays to where it wasn't enough for them to overcome what we was doing against them. But tonight we got to make sure that we slow him down. We're not going to be able to stop a kid like that. You just got to slow him down a little bit.
What was the feeling when you unveiled the Cujo jerseys and showed it to the guys that it's playoff time?
Well, they know what it's about now. They understand that them jerseys are coming out because we took care of our business the first 2 seasons of the football season. So just moving forward, they knew what was coming. They knew what it's about. They know what it's about. They understand what it's about. They understand that, you know, it's not no guarantee for a next week game. But if you play the way that we've been coached to play, if you live by what's on the front of that jersey and what it says on the back, which is never quit, never die, we'll be ready for next week.
What, you know, obviously it's the playoffs, but you're playing a familiar foe and you're playing at home. How does that change maybe some of the motivation coming into this game?
Well, it's kind of like playing Robert E. Lee last week. You know, we've been playing them for years. But it hadn't been in a district game. But last week it was in a district game. So now we back here against a Lufkin team that we've been playing in district. But now it's for all the marbles because somebody got to go home after the night.
And you guys have played some fantastic games with them last couple years. You know, last 2 games have been decided by 2 and 3 points. And what, are you kind of expecting a pretty close game again tonight?
Oh, anytime Lufkin and John Tyler play, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out. And I wouldn't expect anything less from this game.
Well, Coach, I just want to, the final question is, what is it going to take for the Cujo Lions to get a victory? And then you're up here joining me again after the ball game with some players.
Well, it starts with our offensive line on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to have to do a phenomenal job protecting Bryson, open up holes for Cameron Grant so that we can get it to our playmakers at the edge. It's going to start with them guys up front, and then defensively, our secondary going to have to hold up. I know that from the jump because that quarterback, he has a great receiver to throw it to, and he got the arm to get it to him. So with those 2 variables right there, if we can control those 2 tonight, we'll come out with a victory.
All right, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Ricklin Holmes joining us on the set here at the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. We're at Christus Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor, Mole Masters.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
We're back with the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow from Christus Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium, and you're watching the Lufkin Panthers enter the field, enter Earl Campbell Field, looking to try to go to work tonight against the John Tyler Lions. Travis Yosting and I are both with the Tyler Morning Telegraph. We're excited to be here. This is our second week with the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow, and we are joined by someone who knows more about the Lufkin Panthers than we do. Brandon Ogden from the Lufkin Daily News, and Brandon, let's talk about the team that you've covered all season long. Kind of where do you see Lufkin is right now heading into this playoff game?
This is probably, right now you may say that they're the best they've been because of health. They've been banged up with injuries all year. Last week they got everybody back, and so they got, not only did they get them back for tonight, but they had a week to, shake off the cobwebs. And so, defensively they switched from a 4-3 to a 3-4 about week 8, and since that, you've seen the defensive scoring averages come down, and the offense has been able to score all year. But now with the defensive improvement, it really takes them to the next level, hopefully.
Yeah, obviously defense has been kind of a question for them in their losses, giving up a lot of points in those losses. What have you seen, or what do you think they can do tonight to slow down John Tyler?
Well, like I said, they made the switch from 3-4, and it fit the personnel better that they had because of the injuries, and then now they've got some of those guys back, but they're going to stick to that scheme. And then, a couple of the guys they had, playing corner early in the year, now they've moved to safety, and you've noticed an improvement there, and they seem, just faster and just a lot more energy on that defensive side of the ball, and I think that's been a big thing. And you're going to need that tonight, against guys like Bryson Smith, Damian Miller, and, the John Tyler Lions, who, they're explosive offense. So.
Of course, Lufkin can score the best of them. How explosive is this offense?
It's one of the best I've seen. In terms of, and they can do it multiple ways. They can run, especially now Khalil Brown's back from injury, but Cordell Rogers, he's thrown just 2 interceptions all season. They were the same game early in the year against Parkway, right after, we watched John Tyler, and so he's been, about as efficient. He's thrown for more than 3,000 yards, and he can run the ball if he needs to, and he's got so many weapons at receiver. Even when they've had, guys go down, they've just had more guys step up. They have 7-8 guys that they can count on to make catches when they need to.
Brandon, we were just talking a little bit earlier about how District 11 6A prepared prepared John Tyler for this playoff game and for this postseason run. That district that Lufkin was in was not easy at all.
Yeah, and when they went to that district, when they were in it before, it was Lufkin, Woodlands, and then everybody else was a bye week basically. And now, with them going to it now, you could see the level of play all the way from the bottom team. Conroe didn't win a game, and their quarterback's going to SFA. They had the leading rusher in the district, and he only played 7 games. They had good players, and they didn't win a game. And you could see Westbrook was really good. They played Longview tonight. Montgomery, everybody in that district was from top to bottom, and then the Woodlands, we all know, number 4 in the state, and they were pretty much unstoppable. But yeah, that district definitely prepared Lufkin for a playoff, at least tonight's playoff game or whatever it may hold after that.
Do you think that this comes down to Cordell against Bryson when it comes down to it, to decide who's going to move on to this thing?
I think it comes down to which defense gets a stop, because they're going to make plays. You're not going. If you can stop one of them, because it's going to be hard to. You may get that one chance, and it's which one's able to do it first or last. Maybe last. It may come down. Lufkin's had a couple games like that where it's come down to who could get that stop in the fourth quarter with a minute left. So.
And of course, last couple years, been some great games between JT and Lufkin. What kind of sticks out for you in this rivalry, this longtime rivalry?
Well, we just go back to last year. We were doing the research for this game, and it was a 3-point game, 41-38. I expect a similar game tonight. I think it's getting in the 40s, maybe even the 50s, but I think the 40s, and it could come down to a field goal, a missed field goal, a special teams play. It's going to be something. Everything's magnified in the playoffs, and especially when you got 2 really good teams in the playoffs.
Well, guys, the Lufkin Panthers and the John Tyler Lions are going to give us, I guarantee, a terrific playoff game. It's one of many playoff games that's going to be going on tonight. And when we come back, Travis and I and Brandon, if he wants to stay up here with us, we're going to look at some of these other games that are going on around East Texas. You're watching the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow at Chris's Trinity Mother Francis Road Stadium, sponsored by Mole Masters.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
Back to Christmas Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium for the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Guys, first thing first, I mean, we're at a great ball game, but there's so many good games going on throughout the area. And the first game that really just jumps out at us, Brandon, you know a lot about Beaumont Westbrook. We know about the Longview Lobos. They're going to go at each other. First of all, before we actually have an interview with John King, Longview head coach. But beforehand, guys, what are some early thoughts about that ball game?
You know, I think it's actually a really even matchup. Both these teams are really good. It's going to be interesting to see who can come out and advance in the playoffs.
Brandon?
And you say I've seen Westbrook. I also saw Longview the opener of the year.
True.
And I've been keeping up with them, and I've kind of, because up until Lufkin lost to Westbrook and up until John Tyler beat Longview, I thought Lufkin may be playing Longview in the first round. So I've been keeping up with them to see kind of how they progress, and you can tell they're getting better each week. And then Westbrook, defensively they struggle a little bit. I mean, but it was against Lufkin where they get up 63 and back keeping up some of their games. But their offense, they got 2 quarterbacks they use, but I think tonight's going to be a lot of LaRavian Eli, their running quarterback, and they got 2 of the most dynamic rushers from 12-6A, and Longview likes to run the ball. They're going to line up behind that big offensive line and try to wear you down. So I think that's going to be the key, is where Longview is not going. They're going to eat up some clock and not let Westbrook's explosive offense get enough chances.
Well, guys, we actually ET Final Score interviewed Longview head coach John King, and he talked about how he thinks this game is going to come down to maybe 3 or 4 plays that will decide everything.
Well, this is a team that's definitely improved, and we schedule non-district ball games so we can test ourselves, see where our weak points are, and try to grow as a team. And I think our non-district schedule race, and 11-6A has been a booger. I don't know how else to put it, but it's every week it's been a challenge, and I think our district has prepared us for what is now season run. Our kids are definitely excited about the opportunity for the postseason, but as far as traveling, we're accustomed the way our district spread out and the number of playoff heading south a little bit longer trip. So we got a plan, and the kids know about it. And I think the big thing is, as long as our kids are aware of the situation and everything that's going on, then they'll handle it better. Well, defensively, we were young and inexperienced to start the year, and we're going into the 11th game, so the young and inexperienced excuse is gone. I mean, these kids had to grow up in a hurry, and but I think they have. I mean, it's taken some some tough strides. We've not played well at times, and there's times we've played extremely well, but it's a matter of being consistent and adjusting to the speed of the game. We've seen a ton of different looks in our district, from what we see with John Tyler, wide open spread attack, to a Rockwall Heath, kind of attack, to a Rockwall. So we've had to adjust to about everything, and I think our kids have done a good job of it. And our coaches have done an excellent job of getting adjusted during the course of the game. At this point, you're going to have to play well defensively, because you're going to face some really talented offenses, and everybody's kind of hitting their rhythm playoff time. So you're going to get a ton of tricks at you. Well, number one, I think Galen Wiley, the quarterback. He is a true leader, a guy that has really grown into the position, a guy that our kids rally behind. He's just a competitor. He's going to find a way to get it done, and he can command the huddle out there. And I think that's probably his strongest attribute. Our offensive line's big and physical. We've been able to run the football effectively most nights, and I think that those guys are the identity of our football team. Got great running backs behind them that do good things, and we've got some playmakers at the wide receiver position that when their numbers dialed up, then they're able to make some plays for us. But tight end area, I mean, Jalen Brown's had a great year, 9 touchdowns receiving this year on 14. He's an excellent blocker and allows us to have a potent play action attack. Beaumont Westbrook, the first thing that jumps off tape's your quarterback. He's a sophomore, but he is electrified, and he's just a tremendous athlete. And they got a huge offensive line that's in front of him that's very athletic. 2 running backs that complement each other quite well with blocking and running, and then they got a big play receiver in 21 who can hit the home run ball. I think he has 48 catches and probably 10 or 12 touchdowns on the year. So skill guys, they got some game breakers offensively. Defensively, Holmes, I mean, they've got some 240-pound defensive linemen, but everybody else is like in a 6-foot, 200-pound range. They're very athletic. They swarm to the football, and they're gonna force you to spill the ball outside, and they've got team speed to track it down. But you know, they've kind of played well in spurts. But I know that they'll load the box. We're going to see a 9 or 10-man box. They're going to load it, try to stop the run, make us throw it to beat them. So we've got to be able to adjust to that. We'll have to be able to throw it when we want to, and be able to account for all those people in the box when we want to run it. Well, I think it's going to come down to, can we run the football? Can we win first down? Who's going to win the turnover battle? And who's going to be able to convert some third downs, continue drives? Who's going to be able to get off the field on third down? You know, I think that's going to be very important. And like I tell the kids, it always comes down to about 5 or 6 plays. You never know what's going to fall. Could be a penalty on a kick, you know, that we have a touchdown run on. You never know, but it's always going to come down to 5 or 6 plays that could really decide the outcome of the game, regardless of when it happens. It may be the opening kickoff. It may be the last play of the game. Make those plays, who knows? You come out victorious, or you go home and pick up gear.
Longview head coach John King is pretty pumped up about facing the Westbrook, the Beaumont Westbrook Bruins. Guys, first of all, how do you think this ball game is going to play out?
Well, let me chew down this
as
Gassano's
my
pizza.
Man over here eating the Gassano's pizza.
I think I'm going to give the slight edge to Longview just because you know, they're a team that Coach King, you know, he gets his teams ready for playoffs, and no matter what kind of challenge they face, they're always such a tough out.
I had to go Longview too. You know, I can't bet against Coach King, and you know the Lobos. They're always, you know, I've said this from the beginning of the season. A lot of people say this. Longview against whoever wins this game tonight in the regional finals.
Guys, I'm going to make it 3 for 3. I mean, every time it seems like Longview finds ways to win ball games, whether it's a kick return for a touchdown. They blocked a kick and returned it for a touchdown earlier this season on this field against Robert E. Lee. They just find ways to win ball games, and I think they're going to do it. We're going to move on into 5A, and the White House Wildcats have got themselves difficult opponents. The White House is going up in the playoffs on Saturday afternoon. They're playing 10-0 College Station. Guys, College Station, gentlemen, I don't know, right now on paper, it looks like White House could be in trouble. What do you think, Travis?
You know, it's a tough matchup for White House's return to the playoffs. But, you know, I think you got to give them a puncher's chance, especially with the way their defense has been playing lately. You know, they had to win to get into the playoffs, so they got a little bit of momentum going for them. You know, you can't really count them out in a game like this.
What do you think, Brandon?
And I just know a little bit about this. You know, I just remember White House from last year, and I know from what I've kept up with them this year, they've made a big improvement. And I think, you know, Coach Cook there, he's got a good program, and I think they've got, you know, got a chance. I mean, in the playoffs, anybody's got a chance. And, you know, you're 10-0, but, you know, you're all 0-0 now.
And I talked to Coach Cook earlier this week, and he talked about how it's all about the defense with White House, and the defense is leading the way for the Wildcats to try to pull off this upset.
You know, you look at us record-wise, and we feel like easily in our minds we could be a 9-1 team, you know, an 8-2 team. And, you know, it's a team that has bonded together very well. A very different team than what people are used to seeing with a White House team. You know, they look for us to be an explosive offensive team, putting up all these crazy numbers and all. You know, but we put a lot of emphasis on our defense right now. And our defense is playing very, very well. I think they're giving up around 19 points a game. And, you know, that's been able to keep us in a lot of ball games. And, you know, it's been different for us on offense. You know, someone who has been used to throwing it around the Cantrells and Matwires and all those guys. So it's a different, you know, it's a different begin to spot some of those players that we have on offense. You know, Javier Neal, you know, came over and played on offense. You got Isaac Little, Braylon Shackelford that came over in the last couple games and all. But, you know, overall, you know, we've lost some close games. Some situations we had in us, we feel like we let one get away from us there. You know, we let one get away against Jacksonville, you know, because of just some mental mistakes that we made at the end. But, you know, overall, I feel like our team is playing really, really well together. We're excited about being in the playoffs now. You know as well as I do that now that it's a new season and it's, you know, it's anybody's game. And so we're just excited to be a part of the postseason. Yeah, for us, this is a team who's been in the district with Lufkin. We've played John Tyler, the last few years, been in their district, and also, so when you say Goliath, I mean, I don't know that they're any better than those teams there that we've played before. I do think their record 10-0, of course, is probably what you're alluding to. Again, kind of on the same token, you can see there with Temple, A&M consolidated, where they could easily be an 8-2 team. The thing that they've done that we've watched on film is they've been able to capitalize on opportunities when they get them. We spoke about earlier about some games that we let get away from us. We didn't capitalize on those opportunities when we had them. And Ennis, we catch an interception, can very well change the game. Javier switching field, and we fumble the ball. They get it back, and they go in and get the winning score. We've got Jacksonville in a situation there where we can win that game. We're offsides on a punt. Then Cameron goes down and scores, and they win that game. This team here, they've been very opportunistic. When they get an opportunity, they're going to capitalize on it. They're very well coached. Defensively, I don't know that they have some of the athletes that we've seen against Nacogdoches, against a Corsicana, but they're going to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. So, but again, we feel like we've got a very good chance of beating this team. I don't view them as a Goliath. They're a good team, but we've played some Goliaths before. Yes, we're thankful, again, and excited to be in the playoffs for these young men. It's been a 2-year drought. And, these guys have stuck with it. And that's why I said earlier, you got so many guys who could play on the offensive side. And I can't say that enough, and with all these high-powered offenses and us having been one in the past, it's tough sometimes to get those kids to come over and play on defense, but Braylon Shackelford, Isaac Little has come over there and done a great job for us. You've got Javier Neal who's over there. I think that's what's gotten this team back into the playoffs. And I can't say that enough. It's just the leadership on this team and those guys who are willing to do whatever it is, play wherever I got to do, and what it's going to take to make this team successful. Very proud of them, thankful for all the support that the community has. I mean, the fans here support us so much, and they support these kids in this program. Just last night we had the bond election, and there are a lot of new things that they're doing. They're building a new junior high school. There are things that they're doing for the drill team, for the band, and they just support all of the students here at White House High School, and we greatly appreciate that. Appreciate you guys and the great job that y'all do of covering East Texas. I know you've got to love your job because there's so many great athletes that you get to cover in what you guys do.
So the White House Wildcats have themselves a task to try to knock off College Station. It's interesting, guys. They're 10-0, but I was looking at some of their scores, and of course, maybe this is my East Texan in me. I always think the East Texas team is going to take somebody else out. They don't look like they don't seem like a 10-0 team. What do you guys think?
Like Brandon said earlier, once you make the playoffs, everyone's 0-0. But having gone to school in College Station, I know they're going to be a tough out for White House, and I give the slight edge to College Station.
Got you.
And I've seen a couple of their scores this year, like in-game stuff, and where they were down, and they've come back, and it seems like they haven't just rolled through it. It's not like a 10-0 where they. Like the Woodlands is, I'm used to, but they've been, pretty much dominant all year. It seems like it's been more of a, but maybe Lady Luck's on their side too. So,
well, guys, of course, and I've talked to the coach, and I feel confident that White House can hang with them. What I'm worried about is that can White House score enough points, because their defense is really good, but can they score enough points when it's said and done to get the victory? And that's why I give the slight edge to College Station.
That's not something you say often about White House.
Yeah,
no joke. And that tells you, it's funny when talking to the coach, that's something that they changed. I mean, with Patrick Mahomes and Cantrell and all the guys that they've had with the Wildcats and all the points that they've been putting up, to be talking about defense in the White House Wildcats just shows you how different things are.
Right.
Well, guys, Jacksonville is also in the playoffs, and they've got themselves a test. They're going to be playing the A&M Consolidated Tigers. The last time I saw A&M Consolidated, they were running like a wishbone or something like that. They clearly have changed things up. Their offense is much more dynamic. Jacksonville is one of those. I think Jacksonville is going to be the surprise team of the playoffs. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling the upset. I know we're going to come back and say that, or you guys keep it to yourselves how you think, but first one, let's just talk a little bit about this Jacksonville A&M consolidated matchup.
When you look at Jacksonville, it always starts with Cameron High. You know, that guy is one of the most fun players to watch in East Texas. You know, he's a quarterback, but he does so much with his legs. He's not the biggest guy, not the tallest guy, but he'll still run through you or around you, whatever the situation calls for. And, you know, he's going to lead his team, and how Cameron High goes is how the Indians will go.
What do you think, Brandon?
And for Jacksonville, half the battle was getting into the playoffs. They had to do some crazy stuff last week. You know, score with like 4 seconds left, go for 2, and you know, to beat Nacogdoches. And same thing like White House with Jacksonville. You're coming out of that district's really tough. Corsicana was really good. Ennis is always good. Nacogdoches, I mean, that may be one of the best 5A teams to not be in the playoffs. And you know, Jacksonville beat them last week to get in. So you know, I like where Jacksonville's going, and Cameron High. I mean, it starts with him, and with a guy like that, you have a chance.
Well, I talked to Jacksonville's head coach, Wayne Coleman, and they have come so far, so fast. From last year, only I think it was 2 wins, and then now a playoff team, and the sky's the limit, and he's excited about where the program is heading.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get your program installed and getting the kids believing in what you're doing. That's always the big hurdle, is when the new guy comes in, grabbing the attention of the kids and having them believe in the system. And the catch-22 to that is, of course, while you're learning the new system, you're not going to be real good at it. But the longer you keep at it, the better you get at it. And so it's taken us a while to catch hold. I say a while because it feels like a long time for us. In some people's eyes, they may think, well, year 2, that's a pretty good turnaround. But when you're in the middle of it and you're grinding, and the kids are working so hard, you know, everyone starts getting a little anxious. They want success now. It's, you know, it's the American way. I want it now. So it means a lot to have it pay off right now and have those seniors reap the benefits of their hard work. Teenage boys are teenage boys. They get distracted easily. We had the big win over Ennis, and we had to play Lindale the next week. And of course, you had some things going on there that were not in our favor. You had Lindale coming in with their backs against the wall, fighting for their playoff lives. They had to win or they're eliminated. And then we had us coming in off of a big win, probably a little big-headed, thinking we were better than we were. Yeah, we've had our best week of practice this year. Obviously, the kids are fired up. It's a real different atmosphere to be playing for something different, and it's not the daily grind now of just another game. These games really, really mean something. He is. He does a great job of running our zone read. He's the best I've seen at it, best I've had a chance to coach at it. But in order for him to have his success, I mean, so many kids have to do so many other things right. Our receivers block so well on the edge for him when he runs the ball. When we run our counter game up the middle with him, our offensive line has been fantastic this year. We're really kind of a senior-led offense. Some kids making great plays for us on offense, and we try to keep the ball, possess it, and ground it out, and because we're so young on defense. But having Cam High there to make the reads has made it a lot easier for us. Yeah, Consolidated they're kind of like us. They run a lot of option game. A little different option, whereas we're a zone read. They're a spread option team that wants to run the quarterback and pitch the ball, which you don't see very much of. It's real rare in the spread game. So it's be a challenge for us to try to adjust in 1 week to a different kind of offense we haven't seen this year. Real effective. They've held 5 opponents to 14 points or less. So they're going to be a real challenge for us trying to move the ball on them. Yeah, it's kind of been up and down for our D. We've had some games where we've kept our offense in the game. Over at White House, we held them to 14 points, and that was a big game for us. We only had to score 18 points on offense that night to win. And we've had some other games earlier in the year where they've done that for us. Right now, our defense is living on turnovers. They've done a great job. We won the turnover battle in every district game. So that's been a big factor for us. Yeah, you know, kind of last week was kind of a preview in the Nacogdoches game. when Cam tweaked his ankle, we had some other senior kids on offense step up and make plays. DeMontre Christopher made some big plays on the 2-minute drive. Vidal Johnson scored a touchdown run for us at running back. Devin Henry, another senior, made an incredible catch on the game-winning touchdown pass. So once Cam got tweaked up a little bit, our other seniors stepped up, and that's what we're going to have this week. We just need our kids to keep making plays.
Mold Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mold Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mold Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
Yeah, well, we're excited to be 7-3 this year, and we had a tough pre-district schedule with, two-time defending state championship Wascom and also Malakoff on the schedule that is ranked up there 2nd and 3rd, depending on which week you see them. 4A Canton, who's been in the playoffs very consistently the last 4 or 5 years. So we felt like our pre-district schedule was going to have a whole lot to do with how we were going to do in district, and we went 2-2, pretty tough. Overcame some adversity. We lost our quarterback the second scrimmage, but he's back now, and just had a lot of smaller injuries also to overcome early. But once we hit district and the second district game, we got Christopher back, things started clicking a little bit better. But his absence, Braden Stone did a great job. Young sophomore that came in, and another young sophomore. Just been blue-collar workers in the trenches and everywhere else trying to make our team better. Well, he's so good at spreading the ball around. He's a good leader, and good leaders spread that leadership around, and everybody just operates, even the defensive side, at a little bit higher level because they know getting the ball back to us. Christopher's got a great opportunity to lead our team down and score, and just, his character, his makeup, what he's invested in our program, has reaped a lot of benefits with his teammates of knowing when he's out there on the field that we can all play at a high level. Yeah, absolutely, those first 5 games without him, what was our identity? It took us a little while to get our identity back, but again, a real mixture of the veterans and the young kids. Pretty soon we found our identity, what we could do well, tried to eliminate our negatives and magnify those positives. And when Christopher came back on, we had a little struggle there for, a game, realizing what we could do and should do. And the ones that had been through the fire, especially the younger ones early, we were able to spread them out on the perimeter or secondary or at another receiver spot. And because of what they went through those first 5 games, they've become better players as well. I think it's going to take a great first half. And that's lining up and just running right at them, and whether it's in the perimeter or vertical game down the field. I think it's going to take a 3 and out on the first couple of possessions just to get us into the game knowing what we can do. I think a key point is being the most physical team. We've got to become the most physical team, whether it's right at the start or got to become the most physical team in that particular game. Every team's a little bit different. And once you get in the playoffs, you've got to ride a little bit of momentum. You've got to stay healthy, and you got to have some breaks in the right places. And we're very optimistic. We've just got some defensive guys that are really flying around to the ball now. Josh Spitzer and our linebacker crew of him and Jared Gilley just doing a tremendous job with Luke Graham. And in the trenches, we've got Ryan Shaw, that not very big, but if everybody played with Ryan's heart, we're going to have a deep run. So he and Brady Herber and Adam McKinney in the back end of things back there in the secondary, and Brady Newman, they bring experience that's going to be needed tomorrow night. And so we feel good about the game. We know we're going to have to play our best, and every play we got to play like it's our last.
ETFinalScore.com. Latest scores from Friday Night Football, articles and videos. Focus in on .me photo galleries and more. So don't miss a thing and get your ETFinalScore.com app today.
Grace Community Cougars have got themselves it's kind of funny. It was a three-way tie, for who they were going to play against in that district. You got Brook Hill going to Midland Christian on Saturday. It looks like Grace has kind of a tough draw, considering except that they're at home and Coach Maddox feels pretty good about it.
Yeah, playing at home always helps, but no matter who they were going to play, it was going to be a tough competition because that district is so good out west. They've won the last I don't know how many state championships. And so it was always going to be a tough draw. Going up against Fort Worth Christian, they've got some history with Grace. Last few 5 or 6 years, they played in the playoffs twice before. Both were amazing games. Both came down to the final second. First time was Grace's first ever home playoff game, and it looked like they had it in the bag, and then fumble late in the game allowed Fort Worth Christian to get a late touchdown and steal the win. Kind of a heartbreaking loss, and then go a couple of years after that, they played again, this time at Fort Worth Christian, and Fort Worth Christian scored late to force overtime. Then Grace, being on the road, they went for it for two and the win in overtime and fumbled the handoff on the snap, and were unable to really get anything going on that play, and that ended the game and let Fort Worth Christian advance. And of course, Fort Worth Christian is the defending state champion.
Yeah.
They're not they aren't as dominant as they were last year, but they're still a good team. They're still a team that knows how to win. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Grace, but when you look at Grace, the way their offense has been performing since Christopher Wilhelmy came back from injury is incredible. He's completing, like 80% of his passes. He's got close to 700 yards just the last two games, 8 touchdowns and passing, 4 more rushing in the last 2 games against 2 rivals that obviously don't want him to do anything offensively in Brook Hill and Gorman. So the way Wilhelmy is playing, the way that defense is performing, I think Grace could be primed for a big run.
Of course, that game is going on at Clyde Perkins Stadium, which is just right across the way here in Tyler. It's a home playoff game. These are the 2 home playoff games in the Rose City tonight. And first of all, before we go into Bishop Gorman, take a look because you can start to see the crowds filtering in. This is going to be an electric atmosphere. Lufkin always brings a crowd. John Tyler's going to be packed. We've got about 26 minutes to kick off. Let's talk about the Bishop Gorman Crusaders. I think they got the toughest draw of all of them. It's Coach Kobe Gibson is basically telling me that this team they're playing has got the best running back in the state. He didn't even say Taps. He said the best running back in the state. They're loaded on the offensive line, and it's just going to be a tough match.
You got that little running back. He's not very tall. He's not all that big, but he can run like crazy. He's got over 2,000 yards rushing this year, and really no one's been able to stop him yet. It's going to be a tough task for Gorman to try to slow him down, but Gorman's got an offense that very few teams have been able to slow down. They got Judah Bell, who's got over 2,000 yards receiving, which is extremely difficult to do. You see 2,000-yard rushers occasionally, but you rarely see a 2,000-yard receiver. And of course, he's got a good quarterback who gets him the ball, and Jake Smith. He's just a sophomore, but he's got an incredible arm. And those two are going to be looking to hook up all night so that they can keep up with this Grapevine Faith offense.
We talked to Coach Kobe Gibson, and he said for his football task, they understand the task, but they're up for the task.
Well, I think in a really real sense, we started this quite a long time ago where these seniors were 8th graders. And we asked them to buy into a program, buy into a new system, and they had 1 win as middle schoolers, and they decided they wanted to do something different, and they really bought into our summer workouts and our workouts throughout the year, and so they have 28 wins as a class right now, and 29 would tie the record in the history of the school for in a 58-year football program. So it starts with them, and all the underclassmen are trying to get them that and trying to play for them as well. And so you take it past just the football side of it. We have an awesome community that's really bought into the football program and really supports us in a way that gives us a lot of inspiration to play our best game of the year Friday night. Well, they are a traditional offense. If you get tired of seeing spread offenses in Texas and watching football, then they're the team to watch. They're going to be 2 backs, tight end, and run the ball downhill. And they have the #1 running back in the state, and he's a 5'5" kid that's looks like Tarzan on the field. And you see people try to tackle him, and they bounce off him like ping pong balls. So it's going to be quite a challenge, but we're looking forward to that challenge. Well, that's one thing. We're just going to try to take it drive by drive and maximize our opportunities. We do feel like we have a chance to get into that kind of game with them, and so we just hope that our defense plays the best game of the year that they've played, and they've been getting better every week. We hope our offense continues to execute at a high level, and we'll see what happens. For our offense, it's been one of those things where we're trying to take it drive by drive, and so because you don't ever go into a game knowing how many times you're going to get the ball, and there's a lot of factors that play into that, whether it's a special teams touchdown, a defensive touchdown, or a team that just grinds the ball out, or just having a quick score or something like that. So we really haven't tried to capitalize or maximize or overtake that game statistically speaking, but I do feel like our execution has been better in some games than even was in that game, and so some of our kids have really graded out higher since that week, even though we hadn't put 91 points on the board. So that's what we try to emphasize, is maximizing our and plenty stories, and rightfully so. He's a great young man, a great football player. But some of our unsung guys are like Daniel Schmidt, who plays a mixture of a tight end, H-back, receiver for us, and has quite a few catches and quite a few yards, and scored even 4 touchdowns against a great White Oak team. But what he does in the trenches has really improved our running game. And so he does the dirty work and doesn't get much credit for it. And then we have a right guard that, if you watch him play, he's very tenacious. He gets after it every play, and he's 5'6", 185. Wow. And so it's kids like you have a kid like Robbie Chason and Matthew Robertson that are seniors that have been in the program a while, that know what it takes and know what we expect. And those 4 senior offensive linemen, along with the sophomore Lucas Vega, have really been great for us, because the quarterback can't throw for any yards on his back. Gotcha. And they, along with their running back, they have 3 Division I linemen and that have already committed, seniors. And so this has kind of been their year, so to speak, as far as running the ball. They are the standard in the state of Texas. And so we're going to be very aggressive. We're going to, in multiple personnel, try to keep some fresh legs on the field and just play hard every play and challenge them to execute against a box where they see a lot of defenders. I think this is 3 years in a row, and the excitement is built year after year after year. And you take something small like a playoff to get a T-shirt for our playoff game to support our team, and it's really overwhelming and really humbling that our community supports us in ways like that. And they will travel well, they'll be loud, and we'll have a good time together. And at the end of the day, we're all Crusaders, we all bleed green, and it's great to have that kind of
Sure, you can see that Kobe Gibson and the Bishop Gorman and Crusaders, they've got a bit of a test on their hands. I think, honestly, guys, I talked to both coaches. I talked to Grace. I talked to Bishop Gorman. First of all, excuse me, we got Braden Coates here, and we've got Bill Coates, KTBB Radio, and the 3 of us are going to kind of bring us in to kickoff here with about 20 minutes left to go at Chris's Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium. You're watching the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. I forgot to give you the hashtag, folks. It's hashtag ET. Put something on Twitter. Want to put something on Facebook? You want to take a picture? We're live, and we're going to be live throughout the night for the halftime show and also for a post-game show. Gentlemen, back to what I was saying. Gorman. When you think of Gorman and you think of Grace, they seem like they're always kind of in the shadow of John Tyler and Robert E. Lee, but both teams have been pretty successful.
Yeah, Wilhelm, we know him. We know that family. Good player, and Gorman's got a couple of kids who have been American State Bank. One of them, the Milton kid, won it one time this year.
And Judah Bell is an unbelievable receiver.
Committed to Navy.
Yeah, he I think he's decommitted because he probably has more options now. You only decommit whenever someone else is on the phone talking to you or something like that. But they just seem like that. Gorman, when I think of Gorman, I always think of huge statistics. I mean, my gosh, massive. Would they score like 100 points? It seemed like earlier this year against Lone Oak.
We know they had that playoff game a couple years ago or last year with that Lutheran South out of Houston. Score, what was it, like a 70-point game on each side?
It was like a six-man game between the two of them. And Coach Gibson, he says, look, they understand that they're known for big offensive ball games, and he thinks that they're going to have to put some points on the board to win this game.
Was it the Lufkin game that they rolled up the big numbers this year? Was it?
It was against Lone Oak. Lone Oak was when they went off like that. But anyway, guys, we're gonna come right back here after a brief message. We're live from Christus Trinity Mother Francis Road Stadium on the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow, sponsored by Mole Masters.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
Welcome back to the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow, live from Christus Trinity Mother Francis Road Stadium. I'm joined by Braden Coates, son of Bill Coates, KTBB Radios. Guys, I got you here. We're about 15 minutes to kick off. We're live. John Tyler Lufkin. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this for a playoff game. What do you think, Braden? This man played for Robert E. Lee, so he knows a little bit more. He knows a little bit about these two teams. So I'll start with you, Braden.
Well, it's a great matchup. Two East Texas, big East Texas programs of all time. They both like to kind of do the same thing. They're athletic, they're fast on the outside, they want to get you that edge. Both have pretty athletic quarterbacks playing out there. They like to, do a lot of zone. As far as the running game, they like to do a lot of zone, set you up with the zone, run the athletes to do it. And these are two tough programs, well coached.
And of course, cultures. This man played defense for Robert E. Lee, so he has been chasing Cordell Rogers and Bryson Smith around. You know what it's like to be on defense and trying to stop these guys.
I mean, he was just chunking one just from the goal line, just right out to the 50 like it was nothing, And they're accurate and they're great at reading a defense. They know how to do it and they're very good. So Lufkin has a tough task on Bryson Smith tonight, and JT has a tough task with Cordell. So it's going to be a good game to watch.
Bill, you've seen a lot of these John Tyler ball games as the radio voice of the Lions for so long. What's it like whenever the Cujo jerseys come on and it's playoff time and it's John Tyler football?
Well, this all started when Alan Wilson was here, and there's a tradition now. It's been going on long enough now. It's over 20 years of it, and there is a expectation that John Tyler. This is expected. November games are expected. December games are expected. So. They put the Cujo jerseys on. They don't do it. They don't do it in the regular season, and to roll it out here tonight, and then the NQND, never quit, never die on the back of the jerseys, and this is there is a belief here that they belong in the playoffs, It's in the culture of JT to be here, and this has a different feel tonight. I mean, the Lee JT game last week was fun because it's a crosstown rivalry, but this is different because now it's a do-or-die situation, and you want to keep playing. And yeah, there's kind of it's fun, but there's also a tension. There's not as much racket around us. There are plenty of people here, but you notice it's a little quieter over there. There's a little bit more nerves.
It's a little more. It's a little more serious.
I think it is. I think last week is kind of a party because it's Lee JT. This is not. This is serious tonight in every way. Not that that wasn't, but there's a serious nature to this game on both sides because the pedigrees of these two schools have both won state championships in the last decade, and they both expect to be here, and they both want to win this football game. This is serious.
We couldn't have picked a better game for the East Texas, the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow to do this with. I mean, I'm telling you right now, it's fantastic. The atmosphere, really, honestly, Lufkin's fans are slowly but surely kind of coming in. I've heard that it's actually getting kind of difficult to park. That they're finding a hard time.
Mistletoe and Magic.
That's what it is. You got Mistletoe and Magic going across,
absolutely.
so all the parks. So they're having to park. Mike Carter Field is probably packed. The baseball field's parking lot.
I got lucky. I came over here around 4 o'clock and parked right over there in that little parking lot just right over here by the press box. I got lucky. The past 2 games I came before that, went to Lee Longview.
You're not going to get towed, are you?
I hope not. I really hope not. I guess we'll get to pay for that one.
I'm going to have to go check my car after this.
Hey, but it's fair to be out here. I'm sure the parking's difficult tonight. I went to Lee Longview. Another great, East Texas rivalry. The fair, of course, was here that night, and took me a good 20 minutes to park. Lee JT last week took me about 15, and it's every week. And I'm sure it's even worse tonight because there's a couple.
They're known for they're just being fired up and ready to go all the time. Guys, it's a tough. I don't think it's a tough one to call because I really think John Tyler's going to take care of business. But I've seen Lufkin. Braden, unfortunately, has seen Lufkin. There was absolutely no way that it was possible that they were going to be able to come back from.
Well, thank you for bringing back that memory. Thank you for bringing.
Sorry, Braden. Yeah. But I mean, it's always in my mind that when you say never quit, never say die.
Yeah.
Lufkin, they're going to have to put this team down. I think, Bill, to win this ball game.
I think I'd have to pick JT tonight. I think they've got more weapons. But Rogers is good. Lufkin played in a tough district this year. It's, they played each other, I think, 72 times now, and this is only the second playoff game. So it's just different. Everything about this is different. A couple of turnovers that go the wrong way, and that could change everything. All things being equal, I think John Tyler wins this game. I think they've got more weapons. And they've worked all year to have this home field advantage here tonight. So I don't think they'll let it slip away. But mistakes and penalties decide football games. It happens every week. And but all things being equal, I think JT wins.
Well, I've been impressed with just John Tyler's second half. They seem to be able to take over games in the second half. Of course, we saw it last week. Lee was able to get a touchdown in the third quarter, and then that was it. It was like they closed up shop, and they pretty much took the game from them. And I think that, to me, I think that's like the most. To me, I think that's the biggest, most important thing for John Tyler. They seem to be a really good team. When they take the lead and when they get ahead of you, they don't give it up. I mean, they just are really, really good about staying in the ascendancy. Guys, if you were going to say an unsung player, an unsung thing that you think that we don't talk about that could decide this game, what do you think, Braden? I mean, you've been on defense and seen these teams.
Well, I'm going to pick JT tonight too. I think that it's going to come down to, I think, both offenses are going to be able to score. I think it's going to come down to, if you look at just the big thing is that defense, I think who get that big third down stop when it matters. I think both teams will have no problem scoring, but who gets that ultimate stop? But, I think the underrated thing nobody's really thinking about, I think special teams might be the difference in this game tonight. You look at JT, they've gone through deep snappers this year. They've lost a couple of theirs. They lost their number 1 starter, their number 2 starter. They're down about their 3rd, 4th guy. They've been doing a good job this season, but it could play a factor tonight. I think that's an underrated thing that people might look at, is just the special teams, the returners, the deep snappers, the kickers, all those guys.
Absolutely. JT normally has a ball hawking secondary. This year it hasn't been quite the same, but they still got a lot of talent back there. But JT has one remarkable athlete who didn't play the first half against Lee last week for whatever reason, Damian Miller. And he's
playing both ways now.
And he is that good. When he's engaged and they're using him, he is that good. He is a difference-making player other than Bryson Smith, a true, remarkable player going to the University of Texas. I assume still headed that way, Hookem. And, you know, Damian Miller gives JT, in my opinion, there's something there with him that I don't know that Lufkin can match him. If he's kind of their Des Bryant, of course, former Lufkin Panther.
Absolutely.
And he is so good when he's into it. And if they're using him, that I don't think Lufkin has anybody that can counter him defensively. So Damian Miller would be my X factor guy tonight. And he hasn't really had the kind of year because he's kind of been in and out of the doghouse a couple of times. But he's here tonight. I'd look for Miller to be a big factor in this game.
Well, it's a clean sweep because I think John Tyler's going to take this game as well. I mean, we've been following them all season long. They seem to be getting better and better and better, and you want to be peaking at this time of the season, and it seems like that's kind of what they're doing. And this is what they, like you said, this is exactly what they have been preparing for. This is what the whole season was to get to the postseason and go try to win a state championship. We'll be right back, guys, with the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow, sponsored by Mole Masters. We're going to have some final thoughts, and then we'll sign off until halftime.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
ETFinalScore.com has East Texas high school sports covered. And now you can take it with you. Get the latest scores from Friday Night Football, articles and videos. Focus in on .me photo galleries and more. So don't miss a thing and get your ETFinalScore.com app today.
Over here checking out the Tyler Morning Telegraph to prepare for our next little segment. Guys,
Chris, there's a moment of silence here for the, I think
hang
this
on,
is
forgot we have a
Veterans
moment
Day.
of silence.
This is Veterans Day. It's Veterans Day, so that's appropriate.
Absolutely. Veterans Day, we're live, and whenever you're live, that's what happens. These types of things happen, and that's why we wanted to be live. We wanted to be a part of just the atmosphere and everything everything that this game has and is going to bring to us. Gentlemen, the winner of this game is going to, on paper, it looks like Dallas Jesuit is going to probably win their playoff game. From what I've read, I think Emmett Smith.
They're playing Name and Forest.
They're playing Name and Forest tonight. From what I've read, I think Emmett Smith's son plays for Dallas Jesuit, so that in itself brings. When we can get Emmett on the road show next week.
Yeah, exactly.
That's on you, bud.
John Tyler wins this game. But guys, we're just running through a few of the games going on. By the way, guys, the ETFinalScore.com scoreboard will have all of the live updates from these games all night long. Go to the website. We'll have the scores. You can keep track of things and then come back and see me. I know there is a halftime show on the radio too, so you can have the radio show and also look at me online. And I'm going to have the halftime show. I'm going to be joined by Kenny Smith, who's also from ESPN 92.1 FM. We have a good time. We talk about halftime. We get through the game tonight.
And Kenny and Kevin doing the ball game.
We got the whole game. We've got the whole cast of characters. The band is fired up. The teams are running on the field. Guys, just a few of these games that we're looking at. White House College Station, all of us, it's tomorrow. All of us kind of feel that this may be a little bit too much for White House, a little bit too much for White House to try to overcome. They're 10-0. Of course, the team they're playing College Station is 10-0. What do you think about the White House Wildcats?
I gotta say they've gotten a lot better this year. I'm really impressed with that.
Their defense is fantastic.
Oh yeah. They've had. I know they have some athletes over there that have really been able to step up this year for them. They've had a great year. Tomorrow I think that might be a tough task for them. College Station, that new school I believe out of College Station, they're pretty darn good from what I understand. So I think that's gonna be a little tough. But how about the improvement for the White House Wildcats?
Well, and we're talking about improvement. Let's talk about the Jacksonville Indians. 2 wins last year, and it shows for Robert E. Lee fans that there isn't a tomorrow, that you can go from 2 wins one season, which is what Lee finished with this year, and make the playoffs next year. Jacksonville, guys, I'm telling you, I'm calling it. That is my upset special. I think Cameron High is so electric. He reminds me of Zach Hall. the Robert E. Lee quarterback who went to Stephen F. Austin. He just, with the ball in his hands, you just never know what's going to happen. And he can pick that team up on his back, and he can deliver a victory against A&M Consolidated. Am I wrong?
Is A&M Consolidated? They're more conservative type offense.
They were the last time I saw them, but I think that they've opened things up, and of course they've always had a really good defense too. I mean, that's usually, and the thing about A&M Consolidated, they've got so much depth, they can just keep throwing guys at you, throughout the ball game.
But they had to win. I mean, they had a playoff game last week. Basically, they had to beat NAC to get in here, and they did it late, did they not?
Jacksonville did it in the final seconds.
Yeah,
and then
so they've already played a playoff game in effect. So was White House. White House had to beat Lindale last week.
True.
So for some of these teams, it's like week 2.
They've already got that off their shoulders, and they can win this ball game. Nobody expects them to, and that's why I just think Jacksonville has a chance. And I may be wrong.
I hope so.
Guys, we're looking at some of this other stuff. I mean, looking at some of the games last night. Mineola, they came out and took care of business. They might have had a little bit of an early hiccup early in the season when they lost a couple games, but they look to be rolling right now at the right time of year. We can tell me about the Mineola Yellow Jackets.
Well, they played. I know they played a very difficult schedule. I think they're about to play the Anthem, but they played a very difficult non-district schedule to get themselves ready for this point. So I think they're ready to roll.
Well, guys, we're going to sign off. We're going to sign off as we go to the national anthem. We are live from Chris's Training Mother Francis Rose Stadium. You've been listening and watching the ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. I'll be back at halftime. Happy Memorial Day to everybody, and let's play some football.
Mole Masters is excited to be the presenting sponsor of the 2016 ETFinalScore.com Roadshow. Mole Masters is a professional, local, family-owned pest control company that is here to serve you. Contact us at 903-287-0999 to tackle mosquitoes, moles, gophers, armadillos, or any other pests. Mole Masters is your #1 defense and will help you take your yard back. Call us today at 903-287-0999.
ETFinalScore.com has East Texas high school sports covered. And now you can take it with you. Get the latest scores from Friday Night Football, articles and videos. Focus in on .me photo galleries and more. So don't miss a thing and get your ETFinalScore.com app today.